So on the surface, it looks like there is a massive shift and a lot of weird decisions going on in the automotive industry when it comes to manufacturing cars right now. And that's true. There is a huge shift, obviously the big EV push. But there's a lot of weird decisions that are happening that have kind of never happened the way that they are before right now. You've got legacy automakers just, acting like frantic teenagers trying to make the EV push and just stepping on their own tongues constantly. You've got legacy manufacturers all of a sudden clamoring to make cars in China to ship them back over to the US and Canada and Europe and other countries like that. And then you've also got the emergence of the Chinese brands, BYD and other guys like that, finally being taken seriously and actually taking a good bit of market share. And it's really easy to sit back and say, what the hell is going on? What is happening here? Until you actually take a step back and kind of put it into focus and realize, oh my God, the United States is not the largest buyer of cars out there. No. Actually, it's China by about 40%. They are about 40% larger than the US, which is number 2 in terms of being consumers, people who are going to buy cars. Now, it's also important to take into account that China invested in EVs very, very early. Even before it was like a real thing and the path they were going down, they were invested in this, in buying mines, controlling the production when it comes to these batteries and the minerals and everything that goes into them. Not only that, but building the batteries themselves and building the tech for it. So EV has been big business for China for quite a long time now. And now that they have so much invested and they've kind of taken a lot of market share, it is their sole goal. And I don't blame them. I mean, hell, that's just good business practice right there. You know, accumulate as many assets and as much power as you possibly can, and then put your boot on everyone else's neck. It's also important to remember that a lot of American and European brands like Ford, GM, BMW, Volkswagen, Audi, stuff like that, those cars all sell really well in China. So if you take that step back, you see that China is 40% larger than the US in terms of buying cars, and they have a massive amount of people that like buying Euro and American cars. Well, now it all starts to make sense. Now you see why Ford and all these guys are clamoring and falling all over themselves like love-struck teenagers trying to, make these EVs and make that big push. It's not necessarily because they want to push it down Americans' throats. It's because they want to cater to the Chinese market, because you can't lose that market share. That's the one thing in business you can't do, is you can't lose the business that you've already accumulated. You have to keep that and go get more business in the process. So I've been looking at this through the glasses of somebody who's like, well, damn it, Ford and GM and all these guys should be trying to appease me. They should be trying to make cars for me. That's not true. We're not their biggest buyer. So now that we've kind of come to grips with that, we can start to look at this in another way. But I understand why they're doing it. The wild card here, though, is the Japanese car brands. They have been slower to take on the EV stuff than anybody else. And it's pretty common knowledge that Chinese people in general don't buy as many Japanese brands. I don't know exactly why that is. I'm sure there's a reason for it, but they're just not. And that's why Toyota and Nissan and Mazda and all these guys have kind of been slow in the door when it comes to all this stuff. Anyway, I thought it was a really interesting take on it. Wooly wrote all about it. Check it out. If you guys like the type of stuff that we talk about, please download the app. You'll love it. Thanks.